Women are approximately 40% more likely to experience insomnia than men. They sleep longer on average. They spend more time in deep sleep. And yet, they consistently report worse sleep quality. How is that possible? How can you sleep longer and still wake up feeling like you barely slept at all? 2 peer-reviewed studies examined this question in detail, and the answer, they suggest, lies not in how long you sleep, but in what your hormones are doing while you do. Before we go any further, because this is Curious and Verified, here are the sources. The first is a narrative review titled Sleep in Women, Hormonal Influences, Sex Differences, and Health Implications, published in Frontiers in Sleep, December 2023, by researchers from the Universidade Federal de São Paulo and the Sleep Institute in Brazil. The second study is titled The Influence of Sex on Sleep Characteristics in the Adult and Older Adult Population, Findings from the EPISONO Sleep Study, published in Frontiers in Sleep, February 2025. Both links are in the description below. Everything in this video comes directly from these 2 papers. Now, let's get into it. First, some context. Sleep research has, for most of its history, been conducted predominantly on male participants. This is not unique to sleep science. It reflects a broader pattern in biomedical research where male physiology was treated as the default and female biology was studied as a variation. The consequence is that we know considerably less about how sleep works in women than we do about how it works in men. What we do know, and what both studies confirm, is that the differences are significant. They begin at puberty. They shift across the menstrual cycle. They change during pregnancy. And they change again at menopause. Sleep in women is not a stable background process. It is a system in constant hormonal conversation. The 2023 review from São Paulo examined the research on how hormones influence sleep across the female lifespan. Starting with the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is divided into 2 main phases. The follicular phase, from menstruation to ovulation, and the luteal phase, from ovulation to the next period. The review found that sleep quality tends to change between these 2 phases. During the late luteal phase, the days before menstruation, women report more sleep disturbances, more waking during the night, and greater difficulty falling asleep. This corresponds to a period when progesterone levels drop sharply. Progesterone has a sedative-like effect on the brain. When it is high, it can promote sleep. When it falls, as it does before menstruation, that sedative effect is withdrawn. The review also noted that women who experience premenstrual syndrome report significantly higher rates of sleep disruption during this phase. Pregnancy introduces a different set of hormonal changes and a different set of sleep challenges. The 2023 review reported that sleep quality deteriorates across all 3 trimesters of pregnancy. In the first trimester, rising progesterone increases daytime sleepiness but also fragments nighttime sleep. In the 3rd trimester, physical discomfort, frequent waking, and restless leg syndrome, which is significantly more common in pregnancy, all contribute to disrupted sleep. The review noted that restless leg syndrome affects approximately 26% of pregnant women, compared to around 5 to 10% of the general population. That is a more than 2-fold increase. And after birth, sleep disruption continues, driven not just by infant care demands, but by the sharp postpartum drop in estrogen and progesterone that follows delivery. Then there is menopause. The 2023 review identified the menopausal transition as one of the most significant hormonal events affecting women's sleep. As estrogen declines during perimenopause and menopause, a range of sleep-disrupting symptoms can emerge. Vasomotor symptoms, hot flashes and night sweats, directly interrupt sleep architecture. The review noted that hot flashes occurring during sleep cause brief arousals that fragment sleep continuity, even when the woman does not fully wake. She may not remember waking, but her sleep structure is disrupted all the same. The review also noted that the risk of obstructive sleep apnea, where breathing repeatedly stops during sleep, increases significantly after menopause. Before menopause, obstructive sleep apnea is more common in men. After menopause, that gap narrows substantially. The 2025 EPISONO study added a different layer to this picture. This study used polysomnography, objective sleep measurement in a sleep laboratory, rather than self-reported questionnaires. And its findings were, in some ways, counterintuitive. Women in the study showed longer total sleep time than men. More time in slow wave sleep, the deepest, most restorative stage, and shorter REM sleep duration. These are objective measurements, not perceptions. And yet, in other research, women consistently report poorer subjective sleep quality than men. The gap between objective sleep architecture and the subjective experience of sleep is one of the most interesting unresolved questions in this field. So what does this research mean in practical terms? Both studies suggest that the hormonal fluctuations that characterize female biology across the lifespan have direct, measurable effects on sleep. These are not psychosomatic complaints. They are not explained by stress or lifestyle alone. They reflect genuine biological differences in how the sleep system responds to hormonal signals. The 2023 review highlights that these differences have clinical implications. Women who present with sleep problems may need evaluation that accounts for their hormonal status, where they are in their cycle, whether they are pregnant, whether they are perimenopausal. A one-size-fits-all approach to sleep medicine may not adequately serve female patients. Now, a critical eye. The 2023 study is a narrative review. This means the researchers selected and synthesized existing literature rather than collecting new data. Narrative reviews are useful for building an overview, but they are more susceptible to selection bias than systematic reviews or meta-analyses. The studies the reviewers drew on varied considerably in methodology, sample size, and how sleep was measured. Some used subjective questionnaires, others used objective polysomnography. Those two approaches do not always produce consistent results, as the EPISONO findings illustrated. Additionally, much of the research on women and sleep has focused on cisgender women at specific life stages. The 2023 review acknowledged that data on transgender women, intersex individuals, and the full spectrum of hormonal variation remains limited. Sleep science in this area is still catching up. Let's bring this back to where we started. Women are more likely to experience insomnia than men. They are more likely to report poor sleep quality. And the research suggests this is not coincidental. The hormonal architecture of the female lifespan, the menstrual cycle, pregnancy, the postpartum period, and menopause appears to exert a direct and measurable influence on sleep. That influence has been understudied, and its clinical significance has been underappreciated. Both of these studies are a step toward changing that. The question the research leaves open is worth considering. If hormonal fluctuations can reliably disrupt sleep, and if those disruptions have downstream effects on mood, cognition, and health, what does that tell us about how seriously we take the sleep complaints that women bring to their doctors? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Both studies are linked in the description, peer-reviewed and published in Frontiers in Sleep. As always on this channel, the source comes first. Subscribe if you want more, and we will see you in the next one.